We flipped a coin, okay? You and me. You and me. CoinFlip is sacred.
Y'all ready for a show today, baby? Go time, baby. We've been waiting all week for this. This is where it happens right here, man. We man up, we stand up. We man up, we stand up. We all we got. We all we need. We all we got. We all we need. We all we got. We all we need.
Hit anything that moves. We're playmakers, man. We advance, nothing less.
You don't like this? Trust me, you don't like it.
We're between the white lines. This is football. Welcome to the big league. I won the toss. I took the football. Drive it down their throat.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your skull?
Hey, every season is full of defining moments. Let's make this day a defining moment for us in our quest.
Welcome, everybody, to NFL Week 10, the CoinFlip. Up here on a beautiful Friday afternoon in Norman, Oklahoma. We are going to be probably fast and furious. I know all eyes are on the Masters right now, including mine. Did take most of the morning this morning to do most of all the rankings and stuff that I'll get posted right after this. Obviously, with the delay of the round one type stuff, it threw my schedule off trying to get as much showdown information as we could out there. Tonight will probably be somewhat similar, although I do think they'll get more holes in today than they did yesterday, but there's still gonna probably be guys with 8 or 9 holes out there. Plus, we got to factor in a cut. So round 3 is going to be very interesting, but it'll be fun. Put the puzzle pieces together. We got a lot of good things going on as far as pre-tourney thoughts. Going to be some key guys right on the cut line. I think it'll probably be -1 seems reasonable. It is playing tougher right now, and I think the rest of the afternoon will continue to play a little bit tougher. So even maybe in play -2, probably unlikely, but I think that's probably the window we're looking at. No more much in about 5 hours or so. But you guys are here for some football. Interesting slate this week, especially when you look at the aggregate ownerships in general. Some of the teams that aren't on the slate, Chiefs like that, kind of open things up. So got plenty of action-packed type games. You got some big, high spread games. See how we react to that. And in general, I'm sure a lot of the industry has been focusing on the Masters. NFL is still the king, but I do think we'll have to take some time deep diving in tomorrow and stuff. Luckily, because of daylight, it's all ending by like 5:36, so it gives us the evenings to kind of look at stuff. March to the Masters is still going on. If you haven't taken advantage of it yet, you can sign up through Sunday night, midnight-ish, whatever, with the code Masters. Get 30% off any package. If you're a current member, a longtime current member, you can email us if you haven't got your email yet on a special loyalty code to upgrade to full site. Anybody that upgrades to full site or becomes new members in the drawing, mentioned on the Smash Factor for the limited release Scotty Cameron. We got a Gups Corner prize pack with our brand new hoodie and hat combos that'll be included in it, among other things. And then third place will be some prize money and stuff, DFS cash. So I'll give all those away Monday on the Smash Factor for the RSM Classic, which will be the biggest hangover golf week maybe ever. But it's the last one of the season. So it's kind of like, let's focus in one more week. And then we kind of get a break until first week of January to focus more on all NFL and college football, which I still think we have one of the biggest edges in college football around the industry. Rate and review us on iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this now, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It goes a long way. As you saw Wednesday, I do giveaways, and most of the focus is on people that rate and review us and subscribe to us on YouTube. Always helps us out. Listener League is up. Put it out a little earlier. So you can check it out on Twitter, Slack. It's already posted as well. It'll be in the podcast description after this. Top 3 get into the season-long Winners League. Last week's winners was In a Flash, Ollie 12, and the FF Minnie Mouse. All 3 are already into the league. In a Flash had a solid lineup. Locke, Cook, CMC, Claypool, Cooks, Judy, Hurst, Swift, and the Cardinals defense. I know he entered in some other stuff because I saw his screenshots in Slack on his good week, good takedown for him. So congrats on that. Go ahead and get in now before it fills up. 200 spots. Top 3 gets into the season long. Like I mentioned, Sunday slate will be probably, I would assume, the first time ever we've had a 11 game slate where we have 5 early and 6 late games. Obviously, because of the Masters, NFL pushed their try to make more of the 3:00 games relevant because of that's when the schedule for the Masters to end is 3:00. So I guess it'd be 4:00 out there, East Coast time. So it does. I mean, I guess it could change if people aren't. I think a lot of people aren't used to the late swap stuff because they either play so much of the early or there's not a lot of, sometimes there's only 2 or 3 games to swap into. And it's sometimes it can be difficult to figure out. This week will be a lot different. You're going to have a balanced build, balanced teams, and the potential to, based on what happens early, to change some stuff, at that late before the late games start could be relevant this week. So I'll have to keep an eye on that, see if we have some spots where if you hit off early and you weren't on the chalk late, you may want to get on some chalk to protect your lead. I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios there. And with 6 games late, there's going to be a lot of strategy that could be had. Sometimes some people just like, hey, my lineup's my lineup and just move on. But it's worth noting with that build being 5 early and 6 late. And I'm sure they'll have some pretty good, they always have decent late slate contest only, at 3, but I bet they may even be even bigger having 6 games on there. Last night, Colts Titans. Man, I had the Titans +1. A little bit of a down streak this week. I've done decent over the last month, but football's been, NFL's been up. College football's been hit or miss. But I've lost my first 4 games. 2 of them bad beats. 1 was a horrific beat. And the last night just was crazy. I mean, I felt the Titans were kind of in control. And then that 1 minute in the third quarter, 2 quick touchdowns for the Colts. And it was kind of like the Titans just kind of crumble. It was over. It was done with. So a little frustrating there. Colts are, I mean, they're good. You got to give them credit. I don't know how much of it, what we consider smoke and mirrors versus a solid team. I think their defense is good. I think we've kind of said that. They got enough running backs that they can use to keep them fresh. But Rivers is always a wild card. I mean, he can turn it over quick, can get those guys in trouble. But I also not been high on the Titans much this year. 2 weeks ago, I probably would take the Colts in that game, but coming off the spot and everything, I thought the Titans were in a good spot to win that, but obviously not. Sunday night football, we got Ravens and Patriots. Monday night, Vikings, Bears. I'll have showstoppers for all those other 2, like always. Just want to point them out so you know why those guys are on the slate. As of now, there's no threat for any moved games because of COVID or anything like that, but always keep an eye out. That can change at a heartbeat. We know that. Playbook, go by each position, discuss injuries, plays, fades, and value. Talk a little stacks, betting contest, survivor picks, and then we get out of here. Like I said, keeping this at 30 minutes at most. I know a lot of people between what else they got going and then nonstop Masters coverage, time is limited right now, in the DFS. And I had someone ask me last night, how much am I going to play? And I was like, I'll play at least something because I always build my lineup for the GCFFL. So even if it's just a bullet in a few places. But yeah, a majority of my bankroll is allocated to Masters this week plus showdowns. Got a boost with that yesterday, played yesterday. Plus I played the late slate, took second in the big 275. So netted out, I won about 3,000 yesterday in showdown. So that kind of helps climb back, some of the investment in the week, makes you feel decent because you never know how everything's going to go on the main slate. Gives you a little bit to play with. I'll be playing some NFL for sure. And there's a chance I do the afternoon slate because I'll have time to kind of look at it a little heavy. But, I don't, his main question was, do you think because NFL always seems to fill up and all that, will it be hindered? I was like, I know we're in a bubble where we love the Masters and certainly get more coverage than ever. But I don't think anything will be like, there won't be overlay or anything like that for NFL. At least I don't think so personally. NFL is still king, but I do think, Masters is going to get its respect and hopefully have some solid round 4 showdown stuff. And I'll have it tomorrow night. If all goes as planned, so they're hoping their goal is to have round 2 completed by 9:30 tomorrow morning, our time. So I guess it'd be like 8:30 their time. No, 8:30 our time, 9:30 East Coast time. They said they are going to get everybody in, do the cut, regroup everybody and send them out in their tee times. Still will be front and back, but they're not going to, they got to take that pause in that moment. So you will get a little bit of delay tomorrow, but their intentions are to have everybody off and finished so that they start round 4 regrouped again based on leaders going off front and back on a U draw. So that's what they've said they're trying to do. There's no weather concern. So as long as the pace and stuff goes, that's what we should hope for, which will be nice because Saturday night we'll have all 3 rounds in. We can deep dive into what data we do have. We know it's limited, and get some good final round showdown thoughts and what I think will be huge pots. I mean, the pots for round 2 were, as big as some old school main slate pots for us, 50,000 up top and the $10, 50,000 up top and the 444. So I can only imagine Sunday being a little bit bigger. Obviously NFL could hinder that some. Quarterbacks only concerns is Breeze. I think he plays. I don't think that's really an issue. Big Ben he has to get 2 negative tests because he's in contact tracing, COVID, IR, whatever. 2 negative tests before Sunday, and he'll play. I mean, he was pretty close with that guy. I guess that has it. I guess his locker was right next to him. He sat next to him on the plane. So there's a potential he doesn't play. So keep an eye on that. Ownership before I get into quarterback. So similar to last week, top 3. I mean, you got 4 games that are real close to each other. The first game is kind of unique though, because the aggregate is 109.8 right now for me projected, and Green Bay is 91.7% of that. So kind of skewed there. It's not going to be a chalky game. It's going to be chalky Packers. Next one, 109.7, Tampa Bay, Carolina, but half that aggregate ownership is currently Mike Davis, who's going to be the, lock spot of the week for most people. $4,000. His price was reduced because CMC was back, but now CMC's out for sure, and they've already released the pricing. So at 4,000, it's going to be hard. That's a hard spot to fade because even if he doesn't eat this week against Tampa Bay, returning the 4,000 value is not going to be extremely hard given how his role was before CMC when CMC wasn't there. So the most balanced chalky game is the Bills and Cardinals. Pretty even on the teams, 103.7. Then we got the Rams, Seahawks next at 92.3. And then, mix and match down from there. So, some spots to get into. But the uniqueness of the way that aggregate worked on those first couple, was something to point out for sure. Quarterbacks for me, play Kyler. He's kind of a lock and load right now for me. I really like him. I think if the situation's good, they're at home. Buffalo will be there. Probably expect somewhat of a shootout. It's definitely the highest points on the board, max with the Seattle game. And I mean, Kyler's just with the rushing capability he has, even though he's 8,000, he'd be a lock and load for me. And it's I feel it'll be a good game script and a good game in general. My next play is Herbert. Still like him, 6,600, only 5% on my projections. I think that game's got a lot of attention on it. They are going across the country to Miami. And Miami's got a pretty good defense, but they've been getting some turnovers and scoring as of late. But I think Herbert will be able to throw on them. And the Chargers offense has got enough weapons that, without going, to another chalk guy, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, I'll mention a little bit later, kind of that next tier down. I think Herbert is a good play to look at. Pivotal type situation. Goff is looking as a kind of a chalky deal. He is my fade this week. He's the 3rd highest projected own right now. But Seattle, I know why. I mean, obviously high game script. Seattle's defense struggles, but I think the Rams may be able to run the ball on them. And if they do, in order to keep, if the Rams don't want to get in a shootout with Russell Wilson and them, they may run it a little bit more, control the clock. I don't know if Goff just takes over. And so I think Herbert could be a good pivot off of Goff at the same price range and half the ownership or better. So Goff is my fade this week. Value was pretty easy. Number one is a price value. David Carr, I like a lot this week, $5,400. I think that could be a sneaky kind of shootout game. Locke's getting a little, cockiness, a little confident. Weapons starting to come around. Loved him last week. He performed well last week. A lot of it late because I know at halftime I was like, man, this is a bad call on my part, but he definitely came through at the end. Listener league winner had it, of course. So 5,400. I like some combos, stacking capabilities with them. That's a cheap start again. It's the exact price I think that Locke was last week. I think Locke's in play too. I just like Carr a little bit more in the situation this week at home. Next is a ownership value, which is Brady, 3%. Man, he seems to. I would imagine after that butt whooping they took that they're playing the Panthers. Not the best defense in the world. Bounce back game potential for him. just ownership play there. There's other guys I like for higher upside, but you're saving quite a bit off the big boys. He's 6,300, which is, quote unquote kind of value for a quarterback, plus 3.6%. Certainly a sneaky play. And you go look at some of the milli maker winners in the last several weeks. When Kyler and them guys have done well, yeah, they're up there, but there's sometimes it's been a Brady type or, a Kirk Cousins type. I think, some of those guys, Matt Ryan, that are that 5% mid 6,000s, and they just kind of getting that great spot with some weapons. And I don't know, it's gut feeling more than anything, but 3%, I think Brady's on the board to take a look at. Running backs, injury concerns, Henderson, we know CMC's out, Harris, Jackson, Montgomery, Drake. I think Drake's going to play. Carson, Freeman, Ingram. Chubb's been on IR, expected to be back this week. Eckler is out, should be back next week. David Johnson, Mixon, Mozart's been on IR, supposed to be back this week. So keep an eye on those as we get closer to Sunday. My play is going to be Aaron Jones. If he's back healthy, good to go against Jacksonville. I just think he's slowly becoming one of the best running backs in the league. We'll see a little rust coming back, but maybe he's got healthy, fresh legs as well. And if Green Bay gets up quick on Jacksonville and they just pound it with him, I think it's a good spot. He's probably going to be a little chalky, but 7,100. He's just a guy I would play and try to be different elsewhere. I also like Chubb. Chubb's not going to be as chalky. Hunt's there, obviously. How are they going to bring him back in? But I think they've seen how important Chubb is to the offense with him being gone. The 1-2 punch helps a lot, but I think Chubb is kind of the pounded guy for them. And he can receive out of the backfield for sure. But $6,800, he's currently showing in between 6 and 8% for me. If that stays that way coming into Sunday, I really like that spot for him against Houston. Low owned, not super high up there, certainly in play. My fade's going to be Kamara. I think this will kind of go as a theme, but a lot of people are going to be shoving Davis. Right now I got him 54% owned, and I think a lot of people will instantly put Kamara or Devontae Adams in because you got that free square at $4,000. I like Devontae Adams this week. I think he can still go off. I like Kamara, but 10-point favorites for the Saints. And I think, if Latavius Murray can easily get involved in that game plan, especially if they get up big. And so at that price, and maybe if he's going to be chalky because of the Davis call, that's just my reason for the fade. And I always think Latavius Murray is live to get a pretty good share there. Another factor will be is Michael Thomas back or not? I like it even more as a fade if Michael Thomas is back, which I think he is going to play. Value, first one's Mike Davis, next, move on. It's a square spot. You either fade it or you go almost all in on it. You can't really, you could get really unique and kind of try to have less ownership with some unique builds for sure if you want, but I think you either fade and hope it works out or just kind of lock them and move on. My next value is Drake. Assuming he's back and looks good, I think it could be a good combo. He's $1,400 cheaper than Chase Edmonds, $4,900. Has the upside. We know he struggled at times and had big games at times this year. It's a good piece in there, currently showing 4 to 6% ownership. It's a good piece in that stack, in that game stack that's low owned, low price if you're trying to fit some pieces in that game for me. Wide receiver, a little bit less smaller list than we've seen lately. Injury concerns, DJ Chark, Robinson, Samuel, Michael Thomas, Patrick, Judy, Kupp, Hardman, Godwin, Shepard, Galladay, Ridley, Watkins, Chenault, and then Lazard has been on IR and scheduled to be back this week. None of those, the only one that's doubtful right now is Deebo Samuel. All the rest are pretty much questionable, and I think he'll play, but we'll keep an eye on it once we get to Sunday morning and inactives come out. My first play is going to be Diggs. I like the situation. I like that game script. I already talked about it. Whichever way you go at quarterback, I think Diggs can still play in your lineup. Hopkins obviously is live as well, right? $200 more, a lot less ownership right now. I think you can mix and match those two and mix and match the quarterbacks. I think there's some combos there in that game that you could get to and try to be, I wouldn't say unique, but I think both could go off. I do like Diggs' matchup a little bit better, but Hopkins is still right there. He can always be big. Although Christian Kirk is getting a lot more involved, which is actually good because it gets some of the pressure off Hopkins because you always get, double team and stuff. But out of the two right now, I kind of like Diggs slightly, but not much. I'd go either way there, really. My next play is McLaurin. I think it's a great spot against Detroit. We know their secondary struggles. $6,800, pretty good price savings, only 6 to 8% compared to some of these bigger, like Cups. You're going to get a lot of Cup, a lot of Woods, a lot of Metcalf, a lot of Lockett's this week. He may just go under the radar there. It's not a sexy game at all, Washington, Detroit, but we know that dude can go off. So $600, he's a piece you could put in there that has big upside potential in a GPP type lineup. He could be a solo piece easily and probably would be in that game. My fade is Fuller. I think Houston's going to struggle against that defensive line of Cleveland. And I think they're going to struggle in general to move the ball. And so for $6,700, I don't really want Fuller. I know Watson's special, but that Houston offensive line is horrendous. Cleveland gets great pass rush, and I think they're going to struggle to move the ball. So my fade is Fuller this week. First value is Lazard. Adams is going to be talked about a lot, certainly playable. But $4,000 coming back. We know the relationship. Rodgers talked about Lazard last year. He talked about it in the preseason. Like, he likes the kid. So if he's back, fully healthy, they've been needing that second guy to be a, counterpart to Adams. They've been mixing guys in, trying to get them going. I think they think Lazard's the guy. So if he's back healthy, potential high team scoring games. Kind of reminds me of the Chiefs. I think it was a Jacksonville they played a couple weeks ago. I mean, you may just lock on low Rodgers, Adams, Lazard, Jones. They may all go off. Tanyan. We saw the Chiefs put up 35, 40 points on them. And that game, and that week the Chiefs were the, killer. It was a week of all the bad weather. So it helped, but I could see them going off, and I wouldn't be opposed to doing Aaron Jones and Lazard and fading Adams. I know it's risky at $9,000 though. I think, and he's projected to be the highest owned because, again, I think a lot of people are going to be, because you got the free square at $4,000 in Davis. I think Adams and Kamara are going to be the two that people put in automatically with that cheap $4,000 guy. Well, here you got Lazard at $4,000 again that could counterpart it, and maybe you can build some unique builds with that. Say you have Davis and Lazard, Aaron Jones, then go pick some pieces out of the Arizona Buffalo game. I think you got there. I mean, there's some good builds you can make out of that. I like Jakeem Grant, Miami. I think $3,000 is pretty cheap. Probably come with some ownership by the time we get to Sunday. But, I think with Tua's capability, looked better last week for sure. I think he could be a good play at really cheap price. I don't want to go too cheap everywhere, but as a value play, he's probably one of the better ones. I kind of like Josh Reynolds was real close as well at 3,500, but I went with Grant at the dead minimum 3,000 that could really open up your lineup as well. Tight ends, injury concern, Hawkinson and Tanyan. I think Tanyan play. They probably both play. Tanyan, I think, is pretty good to play. Hawkinson, he may be a little bit more questionable, but I think he'll wind up playing either way. My play is going to be Waller. I talked about Carr earlier. I think because you don't have some of the big boy tight ends on the slate, Waller kind of stands out. You got Hawkinson there. He's my fade. We'll get to that in a second. But in a game that I think could be a sneaky shootout with Denver and Vegas, Denver and Vegas, the Raiders, I think Waller at 5,900, I think that's a great price for what you would consider a potential wide receiver 3. And you could flirt with some 2 tight end setups this week if you do consider Waller like a wide receiver 3, because a wide receiver 3 at 5,900 is, pretty good price. Noah Fant could have a good week. Hunter Henry could have a good week. Gronk could have a good week. And Brady's bounce back game. Gesicki is my value. So there's some pretty decent tight end plays this week. My fade, like I said, was Hawkinson. I just don't like what he doesn't seem to be getting as involved as I thought he would be. And as the second highest priced tight end, he's probably going to have less ownership than like Noah Fant and Waller for sure. But I don't want to pay up I just go pay for Waller. I drop down to Fant, Henry, Gronk, or Gesicki type. So Hawkinson is my fade at tight end this week. And I just mentioned my values, Gesicki. I think Tua likes having that that binky type. You can go to him, safety blanket if you want to call it that. So another reason I wouldn't probably play him and Jakeem Grant, but If you're looking for a cheap piece there, he's 4,300. You know, I think Tua and him are going to continue to have a, you know, develop a good relationship as a, you know, his safety tight end right there. So I like him a lot this week as a value. Defense, my play is the Packers, $3,700. So not the most expensive. You got Steelers versus Cincinnati, who's certainly viable, but I like the Packers against Jacksonville. I don't know if I'll play them at all because I like the two value plays, but if I am going to pay up, that's the spot I'll pay up at, is the Packers this week, $3,700. Value plays, it was close. My favorite is the Saints against San Francisco. That team, San Francisco, is just so beat up. You feel bad for them. $3,000. They're going to be high, if not the highest owned. They'll be up there, but you know, it's pretty cheap. I do think Detroit, because it's just going to be a low scoring, sloppy type game, they could get some kind of pick six or whatever. $2,600. They probably will warrant a little bit of ownership. And it's kind of I just don't know if you need to go that cheap this week, because we have so many good cheap options, value plays at running back, wide receiver, that the mid-level play for me would either be the Packers or Saints, with a little bit higher scoring upside for me. If you want to go real cheap at defense, I think Lions are in play. My last four out was Devontae Adams. I talked about him. Price and the highest own is just the one thing that kept him from being my play this week. He was close, but you know, I can see playing him for sure. He was just, you know, last four out. And really, it's just because he's the highest price, plus he's getting the ownership. So, you know, turn me off just a little bit. Josh Jacobs, a good piece in that, you know, if you're trying to get a mini stack going in the Raiders Broncos game, I still like him. I like his market share. I think he's, you know, as much of a bell cow as we can get in this day and age. Jacobs is that for me in a game that, like I said, I think could be a little higher scoring. Josh Allen, again, it was down to Allen or Hopkins. So, I mean, Allen or Murray. So last four out only because I went with, you know, Murray at the end of the day. I think Allen's a fine play as well. I think you could play both of them in all your lineups if you wanted to. Just play those two. I think with both their rushing upside and the way they're playing in fantasy, you know, they're the two favorite plays on the slate for a reason. They are priced up, but because you have some good value pieces this weekend, people are going to pay up to play them, I think. The last one was close. You know, Hopkins was kind of an automatic. I like Hopkins if I like Kyler and all that kind of stuff, but I do think Godwin could be a good play for whatever reason. Brady and Evans haven't been able to click. And if I'm believing the script that Brady has a bounce back game, plays well against Carolina, Godwin finally comes back again from being healthy at 6,000. That's a little bit of a value for him. But I think the reason why he's priced at and why he'll probably be lower owned is everybody's scared of his injuries, deservedly so, but could be a sneaky play there. But there's enough question marks there that he was the last four out for me as well. Stack attack. First one's the Packers. So I like, you know, even if you want to do Rodgers, but I think you could not do Rodgers and go Jones, Adam, Lazard, Tanyan. You can put Rodgers in there. Any of those five, mix and match, I think is a good setup. Like I mentioned, they're the highest projected owned team. So if you're going to do that, your rest of your lineup needs to be built accordingly. I like Carr and Waller, and I think you could add in Jacobs or even Ruggs. Low price, high upside in Ruggs. He's mid-pack for me in projections, but if you're looking for a stack there, we know he can always, you know, take the top off of defense. So 4,500, he could be a good mini stack there. And then the last one I kind of talked about, I like Brady, Godwin, and you could put Gronk in there. You could put one of the running backs, and only if you're trying to get a stack there. I know it's a coin flip between Fournette and Jones right now. If you have a conviction on one and you believe in them, you're going to get them both under 3%, 4% this week. So you could throw a running back in there, but I don't mind those three as it sits, and just hope they have Brady has that bounce back game, and they're the two biggest target shares, what you're banking on there. Betting contest, my two favorite plays, Super 7 lines. Browns -3 is my favorite play of the week, and then Raiders -5. I like both of those. I think Raiders Broncos is a competitive game, good game. But I think the Raiders take it over in the fourth. I think Locke still has some maturity to happen. At times he makes some bad decisions. So and Carr's underrated in the league. So I'm just going to give them the nod. Probably win by 7 or 8 points. Nothing crazy, but I do like the Raiders line. My dog of the week is technically a dog because they're an underdog. They're getting 1.5, but to outright win, it's the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks win this week. I think I'm in the minority there, at least from some of the stuff I've listened and read. A lot of people like the Rams, deservingly so. I get it, but I don't know. I just think Seattle. I think the Rams maybe a tad overvalued in Seattle, although they struggled on defense. This game's always a good game. It's going to be high scoring. I just like Seattle as an underdog in that situation, but we'll see how it turns out. Survivor, man, there was a lot of scary moments last week. Patriots were one. If Patriots and Steelers lose, which were the Sunday night, I think Dallas was a Sunday night game, maybe afternoon game. But if those two lose, like Survivor pools around the world would have been crushed. They both squeak out the win. So, a lot still stay alive. There was no major upsets, but for me, it's Packers, Steelers, potentially keep an eye on Big Ben, Ravens, and Saints are the ones that I kind of have picked out. I would not play the Steelers if Big Ben's out because I just don't trust their backups enough to get it done. I will update you on the Audible. I still think we'll do it. I think the Masters is planned to start at the same time it has been, which is 6:30 my time. And I think anybody who's watching this is probably going to be watching the Masters. So what I may do is just have all the Masters stuff up and be in Slack and do some Q&As. That's most likely what I'll do. I just don't want to fire up a show and do all that in the middle of the last round of the Masters. It's a special day, special moment for all of us. We like watching it. So I'll probably just have a Q&A live in Slack as we're all watching the golf together. But I'll update that for sure and let you guys know. As I mentioned, join Gups Corner now. 30% off with the code MASTERS, any package or upgrade, and get into the drawing to full access. And then go check out the new gear. You'll probably get an email sometime today if you've ever been on the site. And then, we'll push it out on Twitter and stuff like that. You can see the hoodies, hats. We've had a lot of requests for the hoodies, so I expect them to be a big pre-sale. We'll probably pre-sell them all the way through and after that Black Friday weekend, and then we'll shut it off and get them in because our ideally we want to get them to everybody before Christmas. So if you want to buy them, go ahead and lock it in. If you win any giveaways that are the hoodie package or whatever, we'll just credit you back if you've already bought it. So don't hold off on that. Go ahead and get them all ordered in because it's a pre-sale only. We're not going to we may stock a little bit of them, but it's going to be limited at best. So I'd go ahead and lock it in now. They're sick. JB did a great job on them. Go check them out. We'll get a tweet out for sure today, and I'll retweet it, and then you should get an email as well. So Friday at 2:00 Eastern time, obviously be covering Showdown nonstop, tonight and tomorrow. I will update you on the Audible. I would say I'm 80% not going to do a live show that morning. I'll just be in Slack updating the key things. The main reason is right now there's not a lot. This is one of the cleanest slates we've had. Thank goodness. No huge injuries that can shift the whole slate. The ones that have already happened. Like CMC's out. We don't have to worry about that. So Davis is going to be chalk, yada, yada. No big COVID stuff right now. It's Friday. If it becomes a big deal, I certainly will do a show. I'm never going to not do one, but my preference will be just to hold a Q&A in Slack and let's talk about it. I'll still put out my final thoughts in detail and everything. So if you're not in Slack, you're not one of those guys that watch much, you still get everything posted in the website like I normally do. Hope you guys have an awesome round 2 and the rest of your week, Masters weekend, favorite time of the year. Big college football slate tomorrow, UFC tomorrow, tons of stuff going on. Had nothing but tremendous feedback from the new guys that have joined. Wish I'd found this sooner. This is great. 2-3 weeks. Some of them been there days and just can't believe the amount of content they get for our value. So give us a try now. It's the lowest price we've ever given 30% off. So great time to come check it out. Get all, do a month, you get all the rest of the golf, and then you get all the college football, NFL, and then it almost takes you right up to the next season of golf. So you can re-up then if you like. Or buy an annual. It's the best and cheapest value in the entire industry, and I think you like it. I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a blessed weekend. We'll see you Sunday. Thanks.